Cyberhumane in collaboration with the area. I, Amrit Kaur, welcome you all to the Digital Dignity 2.0 Symposium on Ethics in Digital Sphere, redefining responsibility and transparency online. By fostering among the stakeholders, students, the symposium seeks to identify and analyze key ethical challenges, redefine responsibility and accountability, promote transparency and trust, develop actionable solutions. Since it's a high time to explore the critical issue of the privacy breaches, algorithm bias, the spread of misinformation, and the profound impact of technology on mental health, it is essential to recognize that these challenges are not just technical. It is further crucial for technology developers to take responsibility, but for all of us, it is important that the individuals, corporations, and government actively contribute towards fostering a digital environment that is both ethical and empowering. As we gather to discuss an important aspect, we seek the divine blessing of the Almighty. So, it's my honor to request our distinguished dignitaries, Justice Sanjeev Kumar Singh, Honorable District Judge Sake, Dr. Pawan Duggal, Ms. Nicole Verma, Mr. Harish Chandra Sharma, retired SP CBI, Dr. Abhimanyu Chopra, Dr. Divanshu Srivastav, and Dr. Shyam Raghunandan to kindly light the lamp.
What data privacy is? Privacy in its simplest sense means to express on self-secretary. It permits each human being to be left alone in a core which is inviolable. Every human being has some secrets in their life. They would not like the strangers to know. Right to protection and control. This confidential part of their lives from the encroachment of other individuals. Now today we are discussing on Digital Dignity 2.0.
Our next distinguished dignitary, Dr. Pawan Duggal, a renowned cyber expert, to share his insights.
Distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen. Today, when we talk about digital ecosystem, we are talking about different nuances. Earlier, we were only talking about humans. Now, it's much beyond. It's now the age where AI agents have come up in a big way. I was reading a report last night which said by 2035, in the next about 10 years, these AI agents are going to take 70% of all the jobs, making humans largely redundant. But then that's one component of the report. There's a second set of information available in the public domain, which says that AI agents are now quickly going to give way to AI reasoners. Now, reasoners are the next big thing. Well, when I look at OpenAI 01 or 03, which has been launched, I realize that they are not just early stages of AI reasoners, but maybe they are even walking in the direction of AGI. So in this ecosystem, when we walk off, I'm concerned about digital dignity. I'm concerned about the objective and the progress in this new project. Superintelligence that will supersede the cumulative intelligence of humanity as a whole. And that they say is going to come by 2027. The 0.3 version that they are saying is being touted as an early precursor of this superintelligence. So, very quickly, things are moving out of control. The pace is phenomenal. And when I'm now looking at things, my perspective is changing. Why? Earlier we were only looking at things from the perspective of humans. Now I think we have to have a 360-degree viewpoint in terms of regard. So, gone are the days when we talk access to the internet is a basic right. It's now a fundamental right, a part of my right to life. Why? Because today I cannot live a dignified human life without having access to the internet. So Article 21 of the Constitution of India is dramatically linked with my intrinsic right to access the internet. However, it's no longer just the right to access the internet. It's now much beyond. When I look at the Supreme Court judgments which say that the right to life means not just animal existence but a dignified human existence, access to internet is a precursor of a dignified human existence in today's scenario. But then those are days that are still gone by. I'm looking at the scenario that's emerging tomorrow, which is that we will have to give rise to digital rights, legal recognition at a very, very quick pace. Now, digital rights are by and large an amorphous kind of conglomeration of rights. Most of the jurisdictions don't even recognize it. I look at the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, it's silent on these issues of digital rights. So the time has come where the world now has to come up with a Universal Declaration of Digital Rights rather than human rights. As a part of those digital rights, one of the fundamental issues or fulcrum pillars of this ecosystem will be the right to digital dignity. I want my digital presence, my digital activities, my digital transactions to be couched with, recognized with, or coupled with my digital dignity. What exactly is digital dignity? Is it just the right to be respected? No, because respect is not snatched, it's earned. So can I insist upon digital respect as a matter of right? Surely that's not what jurisprudence is going to allow me. So clearly, what exactly will we mean by the term digital dignity? What exactly can we need to incorporate therein? And how do we need to enshrine that as part of legal frameworks is going to be a fundamental issue. I think I'm of the firm opinion that we will have to come up with various tenets, various essential building blocks of the digital dignity legal paradigm. But then that's only one component of the issue. The bigger component is it digital dignity only of humans? Or can AI also insist upon digital dignity? Why not? An algorithm which is more intelligent than me today, and this super intelligence which is now coming up, which less than 2 years away, will be the better surpassing intelligence, surpassing the cumulative intelligence of humanity as a whole. Would it have a right to digital existence or digital, shall I say, dignity? Where does the digital dignity of an algorithm begin and where does it end? That's the boundaries that legal jurisprudence have not yet worked out. So we will have to look at digital dignity from the component of two distinctive buckets. One is digital dignity for humans, vis-a-vis the interaction with other digital humans, vis-a-vis the interactions with humans, vis-a-vis the interactions with algorithms. These are three distinctive paradigms I'm distinguishing. Why? When I interact with other humans, I'm expecting that they should respect my digital dignity. That's a logical yes. I interact my digital avatars on the metaverse. I'm expecting that my digital avatar is also going to be given an appropriate digital identity or digital dignity as me as an individual, because avatar doesn't have legal sanctity in the eyes of law. Avatar is my creation, it's an extension of my personality. And that being so, I alone should be able to import or expand the jurisprudence of digital dignity from me as a person to that being important as part of my digital avatar. that brings me to yet another question. Independent of me, does my digital avatar deserve or have the right to digital dignity? That's still not addressed. We haven't even walked in that direction. Go to South Korea and you find the people today talk more and are interacting more with the digital avatars rather than with humans, because they've got intoxicated to this new algorithm. A couple of years back, we saw this massive increase, rise of metaverse, but thanks to the developments of 30th of November 2022, when ChatGPT got launched, the avalanche of news and noise and sound of AI actually drowned the sounds of metaverse. That does not mean that a metaverse has gone away. It's quietly growing, it's quietly getting more consolidated, and in the next few years, let's say by 2028, almost all of us should be spending about 1 to 1.5 hours a day on the metaverse. Now, if that's the scenario, we will have to look at whether my avatars on the metaverse are intrinsically capable of being recognized with their digital dignity. Does my digital dignity remain separate from the digital dignity of my avatar? Is it a mere extension? Am I the sun and my digital avatar my moon, so that the moon is shining in my reflected glory? Or does the moon on its own, the avatar on its own, have its access to its own digital dignity? Great questions, no clarity at all, no questions asked. People haven't even begun thinking in that direction. But very quickly, when my digital avatar gets raped on the metaverse, is it just a case of unauthorized access into a computer resource? No longer so. One of our clients had a female digital avatar. A few months back, that female digital avatar got digitally raped by another male avatar. Client was livid. Client wanted us to take action for digital rape. The reality is digital rape as a paradigm is non-existent in the eyes of law. So we couldn't take action, we could only take action in terms of unauthorized access to computer resources. But then let me take this hypothetical example a bit forward. Once my female digital avatar, or let's say my male digital avatar, gets digitally raped on the metaverse, is it an infringement of the digital dignity of that avatar, or is it an infringement of my digital dignity? And can there be a connection, or is it just automatic? Now those are issues that we haven't even begun to look into. My third paradigm, which is my interactions with algorithms. When I interact with algorithms, whether it's Claude.ai, whether it's Poe, whether it's any of these ChatGPTs or whatever, do I have an expectation, do I have a right that my digital dignity needs to be respected by the AI algorithm? That's one big area people have not yet begun thinking about. I think we need to look in that direction. We also need to look at this new trend that's emerging in AI jurisprudence, where people have begun talking about robo-rights and rights of AI. Can I say that the rights of AI or the robo-rights include as an integral element thereof the right to digital dignity of the algorithm? Hold on, I was only talking about my digital dignity vis-a-vis the algorithm when I'm talking with that algorithm. I reverse the scenario. How about the digital dignity of the algorithm vis-a-vis their interaction with me? I'm abusive. I go ahead and give all kinds of abuses to the algorithm. Is it a violation of digital dignity of that algorithm? If so, who's going to prove it? If so, what are the legal remedies to the algorithm? Can the algorithm take action? Currently, no, because no legal jurisprudence across the world has yet gone ahead and legally recognized AI as a legal entity. So once AI is not recognized as a legal entity, how do you actually cloak this legal entity or non-legal entity of AI with the digital dignity? Those are fundamental questions that people have not yet begun thinking about. But I'm more concerned about digital dignity as an integral part of my digital right to existence. If this superintelligence project takes to its logical conclusion, I have a bigger problem. The bigger problem being that AI no longer just becomes AI, as Elon Musk's now put it. AI becomes an existential threat to humanity. Because AI as a servant is wonderful, AI as a master is phenomenally horrendous. And very quickly we'll have to come up with legal frameworks to regulate the use of AI now as we talk. Can we put as part of those elements of digital dignity therein? Those are issues that we have to yet think across. But then we have to have a 360-degree viewpoint. Can I have my digital dignity intact when my transactions are documented on the public ledger on the blockchain ecosystem? If so, vis-a-vis transparency and digital dignity, are there going to be intrinsic conflicts? And if so, do we need to resolve those conflicts? So I think a lot of work needs to be done. Good thing is, last week we've seen the General Assembly passing the United Nations Convention on Information and Communication Technologies for preventing its misuse for criminal purposes. It's going to take 40 nations, their signatures, from the middle of 2025, that if they sign only then it's going to come in force. But the way it's currently going, I'm expecting by the end of 2025, this UNICT convention will be in force. And if that be the case, we'll have bigger challenges. How do we harmonize existing legal frameworks to deal with this amorphous new concepts? They may look jazzy, they may look completely academic, but they are intrinsic to digital existence. Because we cannot have digital animal existence. As humans, we need to have digital dignity, we need to have access to digital rights, and ultimately, we also need to have a coexistential mechanism where we can coexist along with algorithms. And we respect the digital identity or dignity of algorithms and vice versa. And what happens if there are intrinsic contradictions or violations of this digital dignity? Where to go? Which forum to take according? Those are fundamental issues we've not yet even begun thinking about. But I think these kinds of symposiums become very, very important because right now, when I look at it, the world has about 150 plus organizations that have come up with their own distinctive principles on ethical standards for governing AI. But again, ask a typical AI coder as to how your AI functions. And the coder says, sorry, I can't even tell you how it's going to behave because I don't know. So if as a coder you don't know, then how are you as a coder going to ensure that my digital dignity gets safeguarded, my digital rights do not get trampled upon or contravened by artificial intelligence in the coming times? So therefore, accountability, transparency will be the key factors. Right now, the world has only begun to start talking about responsible AI. I look at the European Union AI Act, I look at China's new law on generative artificial intelligence, I look at the New York law on AI. And I say, look, these are good steps, but they are only early steps. And they haven't even begun to start recognizing the elephant in the room. The elephant being the legalities of AI. You're only concerned with a very peripheral aspect, which is to say that AI should cause least harm to public good, or the risk needs to be minimized. You don't go ahead and still start recognizing the legalities of AI. And that's a bigger problem. How long are you going to keep your eyes closed? Are you going to be the proverbial pigeon who wants to close his eyes in front of the cat and expect the cat to go away? Sorry, cat is not going away. So cat will eat the pigeon. In a scenario like this, till such time, the lawmakers don't really deal face to face on a lock-on basis the legalities of AI. We are not going to move forward because this public risk approach is a very, very superficial approach of looking at this entire scenario. A lot of work needs to be done. All I can say is that we are at a very interesting cusp of development. Look at the new developments that have happened, whether it's in Gemini, whether it's in the OpenAI 3.0. I think we just need to be ultimately recognizing one fundamental ground reality, which is that we are all riding a running tiger.
To address this gathering, we live in an age where technology shapes every aspect of our lives. It has connected us in extraordinary ways, yet it also exposed us to challenges such as misinformation, breach of security and privacy, and erosion of privacy. The digital sphere, while transformative, has outpaced the ethical frameworks that needed to rule it. At the heart of all these discussions lies the concept of digital dignity.
The fundamental recognition of every individual's right to respect, privacy, and safety in the online world. Digital dignity is not just safeguarding the person's data or preventing harassment. It's about creating an environment where the individuals feel empowered, valued, and free to express themselves without the fear of exploitations or discrimination. In the interconnected world, protecting digital dignity must become a universal priority that transcends borders and cultural differences. However, achieving this digital dignity is not an easy process. It requires measures such as educating the users about their rights, equipping them with the tools to protect themselves, and holding the platforms accountable for their content and environments they facilitate. When digital dignity is upheld, the internet becomes a force of good, a platform that amplifies voices, fosters understanding, and drives progress in the society. But when it's neglected, the space becomes a place full of toxicity, harm, and division. Shrikant Verma Trust, established in the memory of my grandfather, carries forward the legacy of intellect, creativity, and public service. My grandfather was not only a celebrated Hindi poet, whose work remains timeless, but also a parliamentarian and a political leader in the 1980s. His commitment to the public disclosure and ethical governance inspires the work that my family and I continue to do today. The Trust actively collaborates with lawmakers and policymakers to address ethical challenges in the digital sphere by hosting experts panels, publishing recommendations, and advocating for robust digital policies. Yet, law and policies alone are not enough. Ethics must become a shared value ingrained in how we design and engage with technology. Digital dignity must continue our actions and decisions. Each one of us has a role to play in shaping our digital world that not only innovates, but it's also humane and inclusive. Let today's discussion inspire us to embrace that responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing our insights. Now I would like to invite Dr. Deepika Saini to felicitate our dignitaries. And I would request the dignitaries to share their views. Now, I would like to introduce Dr. Abhimanyu Chopra, partner in the litigation and dispute resolution team at the ACB and partners. Further, I request Dr. Abhimanyu to share his insights on the topic.
The pressing issue of the digital dignity that we are not addressing these days. It is very, for now I'm not exactly left with anything because Dipanshu sir, Abhimanyu sir and Pawan sir have already highlighted the major things. However, in this pressing area, in this particular time, we actually need to come up with situations in which we can confront these challenges. For now, we've all talked about the problem. We have not highlighted a solution. The solution that comes into my mind is, of course, Dipanshu sir has rightly pointed it out, that ethics play a very important role in highlighting and making these changes available to the people at large. We are not focusing on the solution, and the solution comes the moment we talk about conflicts, the moment we talk about disputes. A lot of companies these days, they are using mediation as a way of resolving these disputes. Of course, there are various giants like Facebook, and Instagram, they are these days trying to use mediation to resolve these conflicts. Once they come up to this particular level, they try to ensure that people are talking about dispute resolution. What happens when a deep fake is posted? Nothing can be done, of course. A lot of the harm is already done to the person who the accused is not taking care of anything in the first place. Of course, where there are ways of combating cyber technology, we can educate the people, we can have the awareness sessions all together, we can have those strengthening of the legal mechanisms, we can have the role of technology that platforms can be used, like AI can be used to detect and remove the defamatory statements in the first place. However, AI cannot solely be relied upon in such situation. AI is a good thing, yes, of course, but it comes with challenges altogether. And it is very important to have a digital environment that is safer and cleaner. We are not focusing on a safer and cleaner environment. We are talking about the environment that is polluted. We are having a problem solving approach. We are not highlighting those problem solving. So the best way we can actually highlight these ethics, it is by actually spreading the awareness. We have to talk about disputes. We have to talk about conflicts. We need to come up with situations and solutions. We need to make the people aware that these are the basic conflicts. The society that we live in, the conflicts, they are inexorable. We cannot do anything about it. But an effort can be made to resolve them at the primary stage itself. People are not talking about disputes, people are not talking about conflicts these days. If we are highlighting these disputes and conflicts, if we are having training and awareness sessions, of course, at the society level also and at the digital level also, so certain things can be avoided. We talk about dispute avoidance, we talk about conflict resolution. The conflict resolution, these things they start the moment the people are talking about it. If we are not talking about it, nothing can be done outrightly. All these situations that are coming with respect to the dispute, with respect to the digital dignity of the individuals being harmed, what is the root cause of it? Of course, ethics, yes. But apart from ethics, what? The conflict is intertwined. It is a negative conflict cycle altogether. And if we do not address those negative conflict cycle and turn that particular approach to a positive conflict cycle, no matter what we do, we cannot avoid it or we cannot lift it from the people's mind altogether. So it's very important that we talk about disputes and conflicts in all the situations and scenarios, because these conflicts, they are mostly deep rooted. And the people these days, they are talking about these disputes and conflicts, and at the same time, they are not connecting these disputes and conflicts. They are not making an effort to actually avoid those disputes and conflict that can be avoided at the very initial stage itself. The awareness, of course, plays an important role. And as of now, the moment we are talking about awareness, that very moment we actually put an effort to delve deeper into a ocean of questions that we are opening. And these symposiums, these debates and these discussions, they play a major role in highlighting such concerns. We have so many laws. Of course, DPDP Act talks about the data principle, data fiduciary. Of course, a lot of changes and amendments need to be talked about. So if we talk about the Australian principle, the Australia, the country that has brought an Online Safety Act of 2021. Over there, they are talking about the age of 16. At the age of 16, beyond that, the data can actually be taken care of by the government. And for now, in India, we do not have anything of that sort. It is important that we talk about such things and at the same time make an awareness about all these things. Thank you for now.
To facilitate Advocate Arzu Khattar.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir.
So this topic, digital dignity, has, in my opinion, three biggest challenges before us. Article 1 of the Charter of the European Union has defined the term human dignity, and it has effectually asked all the citizens to respect and to treat the members of the Union with dignity. Now, stretching the guidelines which has been laid down on all the member citizens of the Union, it is highly, it is highly possible.
I have put in 36 years of service in CBI. Now, and like I am a cop sitting in a police station, and Mr. Pawan Duggal, Mr. Solanki, they are raising questions that how to cope up with the situation, how to face the situation. So you are facing challenges, so there should be someone in the society who should be strong enough to redress your grievances. Suppose something is breached, your digital dignity has been breached, then how to face it, how to face the situation. Now, I'll tell you a personal example, like I am on the hit list of militants, Sikh militants, Punjab militants. So I was attacked in sector 35 in the year 87 with AK-47 rifle. Now, the training part, we were trained with only Sten guns. So when they started firing with AK-47, we didn't have any clue because we have never seen those AK-47. Then how to cope up? So we ran away to the training center, took up 3.3 rifles and then tried to repulse. So the terrorists ran away from the scene, but there were 3 casualties on the field. So 3 people died in that attack. So now the question Mr. Duggal and you have raised is it is very challenging. The scene is now the crime becomes global. The boundaries are unlimited. Then how to face with the situation? Now, like I was talking with Mr. Chopra, like the need that is there to raise a digital police force. ED cannot cope with it, CBI cannot cope with it, or the NIA. Now, another example I am saying, like in 2010, there was I was investigating. Before that, the Assam serial blast. When the Assam serial blast took place, so I was a part of the serial blast. So now what the question was raised by seniors that maybe that another agency will come up, NIA will come up, who will take up the terrorist related crimes. So it's a specialized force. Now before that, I have integrated LTT militants, I have done Timasa militants, Ulfa militants, Punjab militants, Kashmir militants. But now, because the challenge, CBI was not able to face solely the militancy, so a separate force was created. So similarly, a digital police force has to be created by the parliament. So and the experts should be so much that like they must be like Mr. Duggal or Mr. Solanki, that they are so much advanced in technology, or they know the latest now, because suppose the crime is committed now, like now like Mr. Duggal raised a very valid question. AI, whether who will a police protect? An individual whose liberty at stake. Now suppose a person has used AI, his identity is not yet defined. Then how to do it? Now suppose now you have seen lot of drone attacks are there. Now drone attacks are there, then who hold responsible? So I think somebody was discussing, there is a very good Supreme Court ruling that a cab driver is carrying a passenger. Now the passenger is nabbed by the police. Now he is carrying drugs, NDPS drugs. Now the ruling is that the cab driver has to prove that his platform or this was, he has to prove his innocence. Now wherever, suppose somebody is using, suppose you are using AI, the person has used, so the police has to prove first that who has breached the dignity, the digital dignity. So the digital dignity has to be also laid down, though it is laid down in Article 21, but I think it has to be redefined because it is very vast also. Now there are two worlds, like because the real world and the virtual world. So what I could understand by the discussion here, basically the challenges are from the virtual world, not the real world. The real world that you can identify now today. So like for example, I am telling I was on the hit list. So what the J&K government, I was in J&K, they gave me 4 commandos. I was given a revolver, loaded revolver, so my individual, government could go and protect my individuality by providing me some security. Now here in this scenario, everything is very vague. How to protect your digital dignity, how to take action at the ground level. Now because now the problem, it is a very high intellectual this thing, but and it to be frank to admit that the police is not that advanced in a country. Or you can say the police is not that trained to cope up with the challenges. I should be frank enough to admit that the police the training has to be to that level that is able to cope up with the latest this thing. Like suppose in surgeries and medical profession, we keep on listening that there is so much advancement is there. So now in this field also, in cyber also, the lot of advancement is going on and it is difficult to cope. So like as Deepika madam has given the rise, then you have to roar and reignite. Now who can rise? Unless the person has ethics, unless a person has values, he cannot rise. You need, the spirit is strong. But the material world is subjected to the spiritual world. The spiritual world is supreme. The material world, a person who is spiritually strong and who has ethics only can command. Unless until you have a high spiritual value, unless you have ethics in life, you can never command, you cannot control the situation. So ethics is there, as you rightly said, that it has to be inculcated right from the school level, as you said that in Australia, the level.
Thank you so much.
The real face of this actual environment which is facing in the country. We see the challenges, how the challenges comes and how we face it, and what are the core challenges where the digital dignity comes into picture. It's very important to understand the problem first before going to the ethics, because without going to the core problems about any issues, we not come to the correct solutions. Let's see what is happening in the country, where the digital dignity prevails. We are IFOC, Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center. We have been given the mandate to create a cyberspace in the Indian society. Citizens we have been given a mission to create an effective framework ecosystem for the prevention, detection and investigation of cybercrime in the country. These are the major areas where all kind of complaints are received in the country. We can see on the left side, National Cybercrime Reporting Portal, where every kind of cybercrime, digital crime, any kind of crime is being reported that is related to the digital world. And that is Cyber Police Portal, which is at the police side level, which can be seen by the police officer, law enforcement agency at the background. On the right side, we can see if a person who is not able to report digitally.
The digital divide between men and women, as being discussed earlier, that the rural divide in reference to internet is also at a great stage. Similarly, between men and women, currently 43% of women in India are using the internet as compared to their 57% of male counterparts. Digital gender divide serves as both a consequence and a cause to widen the gender disparities with reference to online usage in India. However, because of the specificality of our country, there are particular challenges which we are facing in reference to digital dignity for women, and the first and foremost is the patriarchal norms. The problems and challenges which have been in the physical sense, they do not get over when we come to the online sphere. However, they are still persisting there, and we move ahead with further problems as well. So the first one is I'm discussing the patriarchal norms. what happens in the Indian society, we all know, for women to get empowered, I mean, still it's an ongoing process, and we are, as a nation, as you know, as everybody, we are working towards it, that women should come ahead. And today also, if I can see in this physical presence, we can see the ratio between men and women participants in the symposium, yeah. But at the same time, when we are talking of technology, the patriarchal attribute is still there. What do they say? If we go and see in every family, the first view that comes is technology is a male domain. Women, when they are using internet, even if it is a teenager or a woman of maybe our mother's age, I'm only talking about myself, and women of elderly age, in families also, all kind of families, they're like, do you even know how the internet is to be used? Do you know what password is to be kept? And women are like, okay, fine, take my phone. They give it to their children or to their husbands or their whatever male counterparts they have. And it goes on like that, right? So it is not only the men, but women also, they think, अरे ये तो आदमियों का काम है, हमको क्या पता है, password डाल दो ना, चला देंगे इसको, ठीक है? That problem is still persistent, right? At the same time, that social cultural barrier, already women are fighting for their space in the physical realm. When it comes to online, those social cultural realms, like the diversified culture we all come from, this patriarchal attitude is not related to men and women. It persists in all the spheres. Another element which I would like to represent here is workforce underrepresentation. What is workforce underrepresentation? Women are participating. सब लड़कियां बोलती हैं हाँ हाँ हम तो काम कर रहे हैं, ठीक है? But there is a term called leaky pipeline. When women work, they are presenting, they are empowered, you are standing on the podium and speaking here, everybody is listening, it's going on. But there is a leaky pipeline. How does it work? A woman, when she gets into the arena, she's working and doing everything, there is a gendered socialization, like family responsibilities, stereotypes, influence of family and community, and again, that thought. Why harms are coming to women only? Maybe it is their own fault. Maybe they are not keeping their, if with reference to harassment or something, maybe they are not keeping their data safely. Nobody is thinking that it is not a women-centric problem, it is a society-centric problem, right? But when anything wrong happens to a lady, the thought, the family portal, how does it come up? अरे तुमने save नहीं किया होगा pictures, तुमने कहीं पे भी post कर दिया होगा. This kind of discussions, they happen in every family. Moving ahead from here, I would like to bring up the significant issues that keeps women separate from the digital sphere. And the first one is gender-targeted cyber threats. I think most of us are from the legal background and we all know about the different threats women face. I would not want to go into the definitions of everything. I will just give a small gist of the terminologies. Like revenge porn, doxing, stalking, sexual harassment, cyberbullying, dark web, cyber flashing. Like cyberbullying happens in 4 forms, if anybody is not aware of. It's dissing, flaming, denigration, impersonation. You can get simple definitions from anywhere. I would just like to give a small example. I have been counseling a girl in, I think, March 2024, and this girl she came to me for counseling. The problem was different, but when I got to know her problem, she has faced the problem of revenge porn and doxing at the same time. She had been with a partner in past and they had their consensual pictures. Like there is a major difference between revenge porn and doxing, which is when we talk of doxing, the documentation or the photographs or whatever data which is taken, it is unauthorized access of that data, right? And obviously the intent is not good. It is malicious intent with the objective of causing some form of shame or embarrassment for the particular woman. So this girl who came to me, she was an IT from a good MNC, I would not like to take the name, and she has a partner from the same MNC working together, and though we know there are sexual harassment concerns everywhere, I mean, from after the time of Nirbhaya, we have all that, right? But what happened in the online sphere? This man used their personal pictures, tried to do that revenge porn to her. At the same time, there were photographs which were taken without her consent. It was a critical example of both the things, but what happened to the girl? She came for counseling, I tried to help her out and I tried to tell her that go ahead, you need to fight, but what happened there? The systematic barriers, they're still there, right? It is that patriarchy is not the limitation, it's not the restricted element which restrains a woman from moving ahead in the online arena. Psychological distress, it's always there. A woman who was not able to find her space and stand on her legs, it took years to, take that place in the physical reality. What happens here? Anxiety, depression, isolation, with all these years, I would not take much time on this particular example. Concluding from here, that girl could not decide to go and take up, to initiate a legal process against that boy. The only thing which she could do, I was trying to force her too much, I didn't want her to go back at home and cry with all that. So eventually she went and she filed a sexual harassment, not a clear complaint, just she gave a resignation in the company. She wrote that she has been facing sexual harassment in the office, but she did not talk about the online things. What did she do with the online data? She completely deleted her total digital footprint from the web. No Facebook, no Instagram. I'm telling you, no LinkedIn as well. I mean, I was shocked when she came to me. I was like, that mental sanity which she was losing at that time, she literally deleted her Instagram account. Not Instagram, major was LinkedIn. It is related to her profession, her life, her career. But rather than going for a case that she was facing something on the web, she decided to delete her digital footprint, and the reason was what? Majorly family, friends, and she was like, I cannot stand it. I don't want everybody to blame me for posting pictures with him or for having an open relationship with him or whatever. Cutting it short here, I'm just trying to put forth the issues which are persistent currently. Okay. Next concern for keeping women away from the digital spaces, the digital algorithmic bias. I'll try to give you an example. Like for example, like in the UK, I would just relating to things here. This is a best practice which is happening there in that country. What they do is when you are applying for a job, for example, Dakshita, you apply for a job, right? So you will see that those algorithms are working like this, that they show you all opportunities, that yes, for women this is there, and we have a clear policy, we do not discriminate between men and women and all that. And they're actually working on that. But when we look back in India, हम लोग कोशिश कर रहे हैं, but we're taking steps. Obviously, other countries have also not reached the Himalayas, like Dugal sir in the beginning he was saying. But still, we're lacking in all those things here. So here, when we're talking about algorithmic bias, ऐसा होता है. For example, let's talk about STEM. I think most of you are aware of it. STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. This is a term used for this kind of educational. This is an umbrella term used for all these, right? So what happens in our country? I mean, women. I think maybe from 5-7 years they have come up कि हाँ engineering में science में लड़कियाँ बहुत progress कर रही हैं, पढ़ रही हैं. But eventually, if we look back at like last decade or 2 decades or 3 decades, the algorithm, what will it pick? अगर हम आज एक AI algorithm डाल देते हैं और उसमें डालते हैं कि आप हमारे लिए एक engineer employ कर दो, what would that bias pick up? It will pick up the bias from those 30 years or from those 20 years, that what kind of candidates have been, accepted for that particular position, and then they will be called for the interview. So those are not even getting calls for the interviews. They are not even getting opportunities to present their, thing that yes, I can do it, right? So this is the problem which is still persistent here. A case for one of our, victims. So she started getting death threats online. Or you cannot do this, we will, different kind of threats, whatever you can get, right? So invading the privacy of women online, and obviously there are provisions how you can, control them. They would eventually subjugate to it because they don't know where to go, how to go, and what would be the next step, where it would lead them to. So the next problem is the legal and institutional deficiencies, as many of other speakers have discussed about it. I would not go in detail on that, though I wanted to talk, but no point of wasting time on that. Like insufficient legal frameworks, but with the reference of women. There is a lack of clear definitions in our legal framework, like निर्भया के टाइम से सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट एट वर्क प्लेस एंड ऑल दैट हैज कम अप. आईपीसी में अमेंडमेंट हो गया 2013 में, वो सब कुछ हो गया. इवेंचुअली क्या हो रहा है, करेंटली आईपीसी का नाम बदल गया है, भारतीय न्याय संहिता रख दिया है, बट वुमेन के लिए क्या चेंजेस आए हैं उसमें. इवन देन वी हैव आईटी एक्ट 2000 से आज तक उसमें कितने वुमेन रिलेटेड सेक्शंस लगे हैं, या क्या ऑनलाइन तो आप भूल ही जाओ, वुमेन के रेफरेंस में भी कुछ नहीं दिया हुआ है. एट द सेम टाइम we have a proposed law, most of us have heard about it, that is Digital India Act 33. It has not yet come up to existence like that. But we have hopes with that. But even there, I have tried to read it in detail. I couldn't find anywhere that any particular statement or any particular article or section has been referred to or denoted to women sensitization with reference to online sphere for women. So I think their work is needed to be done. ऐसा नहीं है that our country is not working at all. Our country is doing a lot of things. Just to bring it to your notice, ऐसा नहीं negative सोच के चले जाना है कि कुछ नहीं कर रहे, नहीं बहुत कुछ कर रहे हैं. We have been working on women supporting schemes in the AI workforce, or there have been a lot of achievements also in that. For example, there is a 2021
somewhat valuable when it comes to digital literacy and since so I am a very private individual, हर कोई होता है, and I'm currently, if you look me up on LinkedIn, there is nothing. If you look me up on social media, there is nothing because I'm on a digital sabbatical. Because I was tired of the practices that are happening in the trends and all. So I wanted to just take a break, get on the back foot, but not really get on the back foot mentally. So just that I can zoom out and look at the bigger picture. What is being played out there? By whom? For what? And this is a very spiritual practice that I do, that we all should do, finding our why. क्या जरूरत है कुछ करने की, या मुझे अगर ये टॉफी, पानी और फैंटा दी गई है, just because I'm offered something, do I really need to consume it? What is my need? What is my requirement? That is a very basic and a very spiritual and a very human-centric question. So all the dignitaries and all the wise people here, all the smart brains here, have already addressed many good questions, and we have a lot of data and stats in support of all the questions and answers that are being discussed here. What I essentially want to do is just talk about a very basic thing. ऐसा क्यों होता है? Like, why are we here and discussing all these things? This is like a banyan tree. बहुत सारे leaves हैं, बहुत सारे branches हैं. बस एक root के अंदर जाकर अगर आप दवाई छिड़कोगे तो फल जाकर अच्छा हो जाएगा. Or in this and that. All I mean is that you are experts in your own fortes. We just need, I think India needs an expert panel of people, a centralized panel, so that any expert and the team does not work in silos. And we need polymath brains to work on these topics that concern, that are like not just unilinear direction. These axes is like X, Y, and also a Z axis to it in terms of data and everything. So to cut it short, I think human brain is fear driven. Mostly we want to do some social signaling. I mean, that is why when Judge Sir was there and the picture was being clicked, we were like, there was no problem in not looking into the camera when the picture was being clicked. But it was recommended that, sir, please look into the picture. And थोड़ा सा ही लगता है मास कॉन्शियस में मास पर्सपेक्टिव को क्या दुनिया को देखने में अच्छा लगता है. Me being a filmmaker, I have had a career in film industry, and then I set up my own business, and now I'm looking at the marketing side, how to sell products, how to sell ideas and everything. And so I'm a student of how brain works, how psychology works, and how you can influence people by injecting particular dialogue at a particular time and creating favorable conditions in which that dialogue will take a waveform.
Now I would like to invite
every point is important to connect the dots. Thank you.